Hey guys, time for a new story. Trust me, I got some real crazy ones. Okay, so I've got a long list of crazy stories. It's hard to choose where to start. I am going to start with the story of the one time that I elected to have a roommate in my apartment. There's a reason it was a one-time thing. So, my husband and I have a 2-bedroom apartment. It's just him and I and our dog. And at the time, we were kind of in a meh place financially. So, my husband said to me, hey, would you be open to the idea of having a roommate? And I said, you know, I was thinking about that myself. We've got this other room, we don't use it. So if we can rent it to somebody that we know, that's fine. I said, we're not renting to some stranger off Craigslist or something like that. So he goes, well, I was talking to a friend of mine today, and their sister is actually homeless right now and needs a place to live. And I was like, well, how well do you know their sister? And he was like, I've known both of them since we were kids. And what I said, so you trust them not to like come in here and destroy the place or steal from us and da-da-da-da kind of thing. Like, you know, just trying to make sure like, hey, this is not going to be like a crazy situation. And he goes, no, I absolutely trust this person and stuff. And I was like, okay, well, I would like to meet them. And he goes, well, it's not just her. He goes, it's going to be her and her boyfriend. I said, well, I would like to meet them first because I have severe social anxiety and you're going to be bringing a complete stranger into our home. I'm like, you might know them and be comfortable, but I don't know these people and it's going to make me incredibly uncomfortable. He said, okay, that's great. I don't know what happened because he calls me up a couple hours later and he goes, oh, hey, they're going to come by tonight and you know we're gonna talk about stuff. And I was like, all right, great, that sounds great to me. They showed up under the impression they were moving in right then and there. I don't know, I'm assuming something got lost in translation and there was a misunderstanding or something. I wasn't upset about that, you know, it sucked to be me, but I wasn't angry about it or anything like that. So they moved in, and the girl and I, we hit it off really well. We got along great. And her boyfriend, on the other hand, he was a nightmare. Absolute freaking nightmare. To the point where, like, I never wanted to be home. Nightmare. And it got so bad, like, I would be home, and if he didn't realize I was home, because I used to leave for work at like 4:30 in the morning and stuff, and if he didn't realize I was home and it was my day off, he would be in fights with his girlfriend in our spare room, and he'd be telling her that she's a crack whore, and that if she has something to say, he'll pop her one in the mouth, and things like that. And I was like, I don't want this in my home. And on top of that, he was unemployed, didn't want to lift a finger in the house, expected my husband and I to buy the food and feed him and his girlfriend every night. Like, I can't tell you how many times I heard him bitching at his girlfriend, all because I made dinner for my husband and I and didn't make them dinner. They weren't paying for the groceries. We both did our grocery shopping separately, you know? The first week they were there, my husband and I said, look, you know, we understand you're in a really bad place financially. We will feed you this week because of the fact that, like, you know, you've got a lot going on and stuff, but after that we can't afford to keep paying for your groceries and whatnot. I don't know where this man thought that I was gonna make him dinner every night. Like, I don't know him. I'm not related to him. I'm not dating him. I have no reason to make this man food and stuff. They did make dinner one night for us, but he used to throw a fit and like threaten his girlfriend. She didn't have a vehicle. He did. And he used to be like, well, if they don't feed me dinner and you don't make me dinner, I'm not taking you to work. And this would be like an hour, if not less, before she had to be to work. And for her to walk, it would take a lot longer than an hour. I would not be able to do it because of the fact that I have to be up so early for work that, like, before she even left for work, I was in bed asleep most nights. So it's not like I could just take her in my car. He would constantly go in the kitchen, rearrange the dishes in the sink, not even do them, rearrange them and break my dishes. I had a lovely collector's set of Hello Kitty cups, and I used them, and I was very careful when I washed them. I went from having 4 to 2. And then I broke one of them. So I now only have 1 cup. And he constantly was breaking plates, breaking my cups. And, like, he didn't even say sorry about it. Like, it was just an all-the-time thing like this. And so I looked at my husband and I said, look, this can't keep going on. I'm not going to have violence in our house. This is ridiculous. I was like, I'm not going to have all of our dishware get destroyed and not even get an I'm sorry out of it. I'm like, this is insane. And I'm like, plus, I'm not his servant. So my husband says, well, what do you want me to do? I said, you're going to have to talk to your friend and tell her she's more than welcome to stay, but the boyfriend needs to go, that he cannot be there, because this is putting too much stress on me, and this is not the kind of behavior we want in our home. So he says, well, give it a couple of days, I'll have a talk with her and let her know, like, hey, look, you're gonna have to talk to him and, you know, get this behavior under control because it's a problem. And he did, and it didn't make a difference at all. She just kept trying to defend her boyfriend under the terms of, well, he's Portuguese. That's how they're supposed to behave. And that is the biggest load of bullshit ever. Absolute bullshit. I'm Portuguese. My grandparents come from the Azores. Let me tell you, if my grandfather ever treated my grandmother like that, holy hell. They would never, ever, ever in a million years fly. And it's the same way with my entire family. And that was their defense, is while he's Portuguese, that's how they're supposed to behave. No, absolutely not. That is not how they're supposed to behave. It's inappropriate no matter what nationality you are. So, it didn't change. We gave it a full week to see if, like, you know, it would slowly change. Nothing. So I told my husband, I said, no, he needs to go. End of story. You tell her he's gonna be out. And whatnot. Be like, we'll give him 48 hours, but he needs to find somewhere else to be, because we're not dealing with this. So my husband sends her a text, because after we'd had this conversation, he knew she was sleeping. So he wasn't going to call her and wake her up because she worked 3rd shift. And whatnot. So he sent her a text and figured, you know, when she wakes up, she can get it. I'm in my bedroom, and all of a sudden, the boyfriend starts flipping out, screaming at the top of his lungs, threatening my husband, calling him all sorts of ridiculous names. So he slams his fist on my bedroom door. The door wasn't latched, but it, like, flung open. I'm only wearing a bathrobe because I was about to get ready for the day. And he starts screaming and yelling at me, telling me that I'm a piece of trash, my family are crackheads. And so he's never even met my family, let me just point this out. And I yell at him, get out. Because he is so irate, like, he's screaming at the top of his lungs and stuff. And I've heard him threaten to hit his girlfriend more than once. Why would I think he's not going to actually hit me? He has no emotional attachment to me and stuff. And he will not leave me alone and stuff. And I'm like, get out, get out, get out, get out. He would not leave it alone. So I ended up calling the police to try and get them down here to remove him from my apartment because this is insane. I am scared and whatnot. I'm on the phone with the police and he's still screaming and yelling. And the officer I was speaking to at one point goes, ma'am, are you okay? Has he hit you? And I said, no, but I'm waiting for it to happen. I would not be surprised if he does hit me. And stuff. Cops showed up about 5-10 minutes after I got off the phone with the officer. And as soon as there's a knock on the door, his demeanor changed like that. Like, all of a sudden he was, "Oh, hello officer, how are you today? Oh, I'm so sorry you had to come down here. I don't know why she called." And I'm like, really? And I looked at the officer and I'm like, look, my husband and I are the ones that rent this apartment. We were letting him and his girlfriend stay here because they were homeless. He's becoming a problem. We ask that he leave within the next 48 hours and no longer be living in this apartment with us. And whatnot. And the officer goes, well, the only thing you can do is go to court. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, he's not on the lease for this apartment. He hasn't even lived here 3 months. And the officer's like, yeah, no. He's like, that's the only thing I can tell you is you have to take him to court to get him removed from your apartment. I'm like, so you're telling me that it's my apartment? I'm not safe in my own apartment, and you can do nothing. That was, the police where I live is a whole nother story. So, the police officer said, what I can do right now is I can escort one of the two of you off of the property. And I'm like, okay, great. I'm like, this man has threatened to destroy my apartment so that I get screwed over. I was like, I'm gonna leave. I can't be here. So I left. I quickly got dressed and I left. I went to see my husband at work because the job he had during the day at the time, I could come pop in here and there type of thing. I went to see him, explained all what was going on, and I said, I cannot go back to that apartment. And he goes, all right, tomorrow I'll take the day off. We will go down to the courthouse and we will file for a restraining order. That's exactly what we ended up having to do. I had to go and file for a restraining order to get this crazy man out of my apartment. So we go down, we file for the restraining order. I get one of those like, you know, temporary like, oh, until we can actually like hear both sides out type of thing. Restraining orders. In the meantime, I'm working at a gas station. He knows where I work. He knows what shift I work. Every time I saw a truck pull in that looked like his, I just about had a panic attack. It took 4 days to get this man served with his restraining order paperwork. 4 days I was displaced from my home. Could not go there at all. Just for me to like run in and get a few things, I had to drive around the block with somebody else in my car so that I could run in my apartment and get what I needed and get out. He gets served and yeah, he has to get out. So, all right, great. Now I can go home. So I go home. We bought new locks for our door because I didn't trust them to like I didn't trust him to not show up when he knew there was nobody in that apartment and trash it. So I went out and had to spend the money on brand new locks for my door and whatnot. And even then I was still concerned. So that happens. I think it was the next day after he was served or the day after or something like that. It was within a 48-hour time span. His girlfriend shows up with an officer to get all of her stuff, claiming that we threw her out and filed for a false charges to get the restraining order. I could not believe that. I was like, this is a man that threatens you on a regular basis, and you're gonna back him up. I could not believe that. I was shocked. So they come in and they grab all their stuff really quick and whatnot. I go into court and this idiot hires a lawyer, doesn't know what he's talking about. I made this lawyer look like a moron in court because this guy lied to his lawyer. And I was like, nope. I'm like, I can provide witnesses that this did happen because everybody that was home in my building heard him screaming and yelling at me and making threats. And his lawyer's like, well, he didn't make any threats. And I'm like, really? Because I can provide witnesses that he did. Oh my God. The look on his lawyer's face, I could see it out of the corner of my eye. The look on his lawyer's face was so funny. It was one of those, oh shit, kind of things. And the judge was like, well, let me just, think on this. And she was like, does he have a criminal record? And he did, and she was like, I want to see that criminal record before I even make any kind of decision one way or the other on this. She literally gets the file, opens it up, looks down, closes it, and goes, yep, restraining order is all yours. He's not allowed to come anywhere near you, cannot contact you, blah, 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 all that great stuff that goes with the restraining order. This is why I will never, ever, ever have another roommate after that nightmare, because that was insane. But I'm sure that plenty of you have nightmare roommate stories. Leave them in the comments. I would love to see how bad everybody else has had it, because I really hope that mine's not the worst. I really do. I'm sure it's not. I'm sure there are much worse. But I would love to hear how bad some other people have had it. I'm a horrible person. I eat that drama up. I don't like being involved in it, but I love being like a witness to other people's drama. And I will see you again for another video. Toodaloo!